Okay, so I've been getting a lot of questions about how to use Microsoft Word to do some of the editing and or to do the equations, and you have to have the downloaded version of Word to do equations. The online version, the equation editor that I have a tutorial for, apparently doesn't exist anymore. So you do want to make sure that you have the downloaded version. And there's a tutorial in the classroom on how to download Word, which you can do as long as you don't have a Chromebook. So this is the downloaded version of 365. And so I'm going to show you how to do a system of equation and how to do a matrix. So first I'm in the Insert tab, and then under Symbols, there's a button for equation. Now, if that doesn't show up, you have to do drop down symbol because sometimes, depending on how big your screen is, those will combine into one. The other thing you do is hit Alt and then the plus sign, and that will automatically insert an equation. So let's start with a system. So I need to go to brackets here. And if it's a two equation system, then I don't remember if the three equation has a default, but two equations already are set up here. I gotta wait for this to load. So you see how it has a single bracket. So a system must have the left brace in order for it to be considered a system. Otherwise, it's just random equations. That's how you determine that they're taken together. So we actually do have defaults for a two equation system and a three equation system. So you just click one of these. It's under cases and stacks underneath the bracket. And then you type your equations in each box. So like x plus y equals 2. Oops, I hit the 6 instead of the plus. X minus y equals 10. Except that apparently my fingers are not typing. So that's how you do a system. The system must have that curly brace, otherwise it's not a system, it's just random equations. Now for matrices, I'm going to go to insert again. I'm going to insert an equation. There's actually a button for matrices or matrices. So you need to have the brackets. That's what makes it a matrix. So there's a whole bunch of blanks here, but you need to have the brackets. And so that's the second. So it defaults to having a 2 by 2. And so that would be, let's see, just the coefficients. If I just want the coefficient matrix, and then let's say I want to solve using the inverse method or whatever, I need another matrix next to it for the variables. So that would be a brackets, and then it's a 2 by 1. So they don't have one of these here. So what I can do to get that is first I have to go to the bracket, and then I need the square brackets with one box. And then inside the box, I go to matrix, and then I want to make that a 2 by 1. So that'd be x, y, and then equal, and then I need to do that again. And you can even copy and paste it if it would let me. There we go. And then just change it. So that would be, oops, I removed too much. 2 and 10. So that's one way to do a matrix. If you want to make it a single matrix, so again, I'm going to go to my equation, and so this would be a 1 to a 2 by 3, 2 rows, 3 columns. So you can see that there's a 2 by 3 right here with empty matrices, but it doesn't come with the brackets. So I'd do the same thing. I'd go to the bracket and then hit the square brackets, go inside my box, and then do 2 by 3. And then I can type in 1, 1, 2, 1, negative 1, 10. Now, if you have 3 variables and 2 equations, if you need like a 2 by 4, that one's a little harder to create, but you go to Insert, Equation. That doesn't exist, so you have to, again, start with your square brackets. And now you look, there's a 3 by 3, but there's not a 3 by 4, which might be another one that you might need, or a 2 by 4. So you could have to create that by sets of 2. So let's say I want to do a 3 by 4. 3 equations, we need to have 4 columns because you have the column for your equal sign. So I'm going to start with my 2 empty matrices here. And then I can say, okay, I've got a 3 by 2, and then go to the other one and do another 3 by 2, and now I have a 3 by 4. So that's how you would build these matrices. And then you can just copy and paste and then change numbers as you go through and solve. But to be a matrix, it needs to have these brackets because otherwise it's just random numbers. To be a system, it has to have the curly braces. Otherwise, we're not saying that these are taken together. So if you're struggling with typing these up, you can do this by hand on paper. That's completely fine. But if you're going to type it up, you need to use the proper notation. Well, you need to use the notation if you write it as well. But notation is important because otherwise you're not actually saying what you're trying to say. It'd be like leaving off a comma. You know the thing where it says, oh, I forget what it is, but there's something about eating grandma. You know, it's like, okay, let's eat grandma, or let's eat eat grandma. If you leave off that comma, it's a very different meaning. That's what its math notation is like. If you leave off the brace for a system, it means something completely different. If you leave off the brackets, it's just random numbers. So this is part of like the grammar. It's the punctuation. It's really important with math because otherwise you're not communicating what you mean. So hopefully this has helped you out. I'm going to send this out after I upload it to YouTube. And let me know if you guys have questions.